Economically, Kenya is in serious problem because of the fact that the economy is behind the human resource development. Kenyans are so advanced in terms of literacy, in terms of knowledge, in terms of talent, in terms of everything. People are highly educated, and the economy cannot reward them because the economy is growing at 4.2% now, while the human development index is growing at something over 50%. So because of that, you find people with masters, people with PhDs, people with degrees that cannot get a job that is commensurate to that, and that's why we're having all these upheavals. The Gen Z revolution is simply because they are educated, but they cannot get a job that can reward their talent and career. And that's why we're having this problem. Now, what has been the mistake? The mistake in the economy was that we had Vision 2030 that had foreseen this problem coming under Kibaki administration. But they never focused on how to build that vision so that it takes care of this growing youth population. Imagine the youth, 60% of the youth are unemployed, 20% is underemployed, and the economy is growing at 4%, 4.2%, while that youth underemployment is growing at 25%. So it will take a serious economic turnaround, paradigm shift, to cure that issue. The normal strategies we have about increasing taxation, all that thing cannot work. The bottom-up economic model that William Ruto is using will not work. All those promises they are talking about investing money in education, you cannot put more money in education when people cannot get employed, because education does not end until people are employed. You know, if you go to the Western countries, you go to Singapore, the one they give, you go to Korea, you go to Japan, your education only ends when you have started working. Then from there it becomes your luxury, either whether you want to continue working or not. So according to me, the economic model is wrong. It needs to be changed significantly. We need to embrace how we can create jobs quickly. Fortunately, as economists, we have these solutions, but the country does not want to listen to us. Over-borrowing, overspending, over-taxation, over-traveling, these are key enemies of the Kenyan economy. Because what's happening is that, why do you think we overtax and then we overborrow? Is because there's over-expenditure. We are assuming that our economic problem is revenue. The problem is not revenue. The problem is overspending. Once you overspend and you cannot generate that money and there's too much corruption, then you realize that you have to find how you can borrow money and overtax so you can steal more and overspend more. That is the problem. And the solution should just be that we have to change our current political leaders, because they have no clue. They are the root cause of the problem from the very foundation of this country, and they need to be kicked out of the system. And that's why we are saying at Concerned Citizens Movement that we have two tribes. One tribe ni wale ambao wanatuibia, which is causing the problem, those who overborrow, who overspend, na wale ambao wanaibiwa, ambayo ni sisi. And tukiungana pamoja, wale ambao wanaibiwa, tutaondoa wale ambao wanaiba, and then we can have economy which is clean, that can serve everybody, because we have enough for everybody's need, but we don't have enough for everybody's greed. Remember, you've been told that the Kenyan problem is that we have two tribes, the rich and the poor, but I disagree, because we are not poor. World Bank rates Kenya as a middle income economy. Secondly, our budget is 4.2 trillion. Such a budget cannot be for poor people. Kenyans are highly literate, highly educated, highly creative, highly intelligent, highly talented, highly creative, industrious and hardworking. Such a population cannot be poor. If you take any Kenyan outside this country and give them opportunity, they are thriving. Kenyans doing business in Sudan, doing business in Somalia, doing business in Nigeria, in Cameroon, in the US, in the UK, among other countries, are doing very well. But the Kenyans here wamefenyeliwa na the governance structure, which cannot allow economic growth. And politicians are the key business people because they use political shortcuts to win businesses. And they don't allow a normal Kenyan to thrive in doing business. Because even that normal Kenyans have to bribe them to do business, and that's the main problem. I think that's how I can summarize it.
And another thing, why do you think Ruto is giving this CS job where they can't fit?
Because Ruto is not interested in the fit, the job fit between the CSS and the ministry. Ruto is interested in politics. In fact, Ruto has two diseases. One, he is addicted to power. He wants to be so powerful that even now the war he's fighting everybody and everyone is all to consolidate as much power as possible. And that's why he only has to give people positions who can make him amass more power. Secondly, Ruto is interested to become a rich man. Ruto does not just want to win the second term as president. He does not just want to become the richest man in the world. Ruto wants to own Kenya so that anybody in the country and outside the country can come and kneel before him and beg him to do anything in Kenya. That's what he's interested in. So the people he's appointing, when you see him appointing Joho to be in charge of mining and blue economy, it is all about how he can control those sectors. When you see him putting Opio and I to be in charge of energy and bringing Adani and all these things, it's all about how he can control the entire energy sector in Kenya. The telco in Safaricom, when you see him putting Adil Kawaja, his personal lawyer, as the chairman of Safaricom, is that he wants to control the entire telco. So Ruto's project is to control this economy and own Kenya. When you hear the word who owns Kenya, it should read William Ruto. At the moment, he is trying to fight with the Kenyatta family, but you have to realize that the main war he has with Kenyatta family is simply because it looks like the people who own the bigger chunk of the economy. And that's why they have to fight. They have to enter in a dogfight to ensure that no one actually comes. That's why in the war with Gachagua is that Gachagua should not get money. Gachagua should be suffocated economically, so that he does not come to be counted among those who own Kenya. It should be one person, William Ruto.
And do you think Gachagua will be impeached?
The actual impeachment had been done by Friday, but Gachagua's impeachment will not succeed because of court. The threshold required in court to impeach Gachagua cannot be met with those PR things. So Gachagua will not be impeached. And of course Gachagua needs to tone down and not talk too much. You know, he's also talking too much. That he's talking too much does not even allow people to console him. So if Gachagua was a wise leader, this was a time to be a little bit quiet and let him also listen to what the nation is saying, because he's more the one telling us and he's not listening to people. He needs to listen to what is going on. And I think Gachagua, the war between him and Ruto is more about money. If Gachagua becomes less ambitious tomorrow, Ruto will withdraw all those cases and he will be okay. But the more he wants to ensure that whenever Ruto makes money, he also makes money, it won't work, because it's about sharing the loot. They are disagreeing on how are they sharing the loot. And that's why I've told you again, the main problem we need to solve is wenye wanatuibia should be sent home. Wenye wanatuibia, we should gang against them and send them home. So that we form a government ya wale ambao wanaibiwa, who understands the cost of corruption, because corruption is negative to any citizen. Corruption is a big cancer in this country. That's all.